Good afternoon, good evening, happy time zone, friends of RPG Limit Break and Final Fantasy Randomizer. My name is Possum Morpheus, and I am joined in the booth tonight by Mechlin89. Behind the scenes, also doing the restream, is Mechlin. We have two trackers, Catnip and Thavion, both doing the Lord's work behind the scenes. But I am overjoyed to be here to get to do some commentary for this Final Fantasy randomizer match for all of you wonderful folks out there. Before we get any further on, we have Sofnum, Sorbius, Solaris, and Siberian Bull. That is a whole lot of S that we are going to try not to get our tongues twisted on tonight. Battling for the Winter Tournament 2025 qualifier number 3. With that all said, Mechlin, you want to take us away and tell us a little bit about what our runners are going to be working with tonight?
Yeah, sure. So as we know, we got a forced melee in the first slot, which can be a fighter, thief, black belt, and we got thief. And then in the second slot, it's a forced any but black belt, and we got another thief. Third slot is always going to be a forced none, and the fourth slot is going to be your choice of caster, so black mage, white mage, red mage. Blessings for these is Thief gets equipped shirt, and the black mage is coming with telemagic. And as we can see across the board, everyone grab that black mage because telemagic is very strong. I think that pretty much sums it up. We do start off with a free bridge, and we have shards and key items trapped inside of boxes behind local formations, which means anything that can generally pop up inside of that general area, inside of that dungeon floor, or say for instance like Canary Castle has specific local formations. It'll pull enemies from those locations. And then it is a shard hunt, of course I said, so we have 24 shards. And then, so with the none slot, we can recruit in the tavern. However, black belts will not be shown up, and we can only replace that none slot. Now, something to note is the second slot has the ability to roll a none, and the fourth slot you can pick a none. So if you don't like how the game rolls, there's always the option to pick up other party members later on. But you will not be able to replace a party member once they have been chosen. It's set in stone. We also get airboat, which is fantastic. If no one's seen what airboat is, if you have the ship and the floater, you can just jump up in the air anytime you want, and you can land anywhere in the sea that you want. Anywhere in the sea, anywhere on land. So, runners should be going any moment now.
So, Mechlin, let me ask you this while we're getting started here, as we're waiting for our runners to go. With that thief, or with the two thieves starting out, would you be happy with that sort of start, or would you be, more looking for something else? As we see, it looks like Sorbius immediately grabbing a white mage, not even thinking twice about it. Looks like some of our other runners might be thinking a little different there, but nope. Actually, everyone I think has a white mage now, so we are fully geared up. Everyone has a full party. But are you looking for anything specific with, a thief start? Are you happy with that? Would you be looking for something else? Kind
I
of where
mean,
would your mindset be there?
a double thief start's not terrible. You're going to be able to run from any battle that you come across. So if the encounter table is rather rough, it makes for easier to not have to encounter manipulate as hard, which is a very strong skill set in this game. Encounter manipulation, resetting out of resets or encounters so that you don't have to take on any unnecessary overworld fights. Having the double thief, you're going to be able to run from most of that, so it's not as prudent, but you're still going to want to do it to help keep up on the times. As for combat, double thief is okay. I would prefer a fighter in place of one of those thieves, just as a personal preference, since fighters can equip basically anything in the game, and they're going to be a lot more harder hitting than the thief will be. But the thief is also going to be harder to hit at the same time, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Essentially, one of your thieves is going to be your tank. As we can see in Softenham's side, the first thief is already down, which that that top thief is probably going to be sleeping quite often. Although I do see we got Life 2 at level 1, which is great. Life 2 at level 1 is perfect. You're going to be able to pick up any party member at any time. Especially considering for this tournament, they were kind enough to turn Life 1 and Life 2 on battle, which generally we don't see Life 2 on in battle. I might be wrong about that for further on down the tournament, but I think it's turned on for the entire tournament, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it looks like we also started with Nuke, or not started with, but was a level 1 spell, and Cure 4, so a lot of goodies at level 1 here.
Oh, that's
Looks like Garland, defeating Garland, teleporting us back to Canaria, gave us a canoe and a crystal, so the crystal we'll be able to use fairly early with Matoya, and then the canoe to kind of navigate some of the waterways around the area. So pretty nice pickups early on for our runners as well for progression.
Yeah, for sure. Canoe is great for traversing the inner sea. You're going to be able to get to the volcano, which has an incentive item, and Crescent Lake, which also has the sages, which give an incentive item. And then we do have extended open on, so you can get down to Elfland and Marsh Cave, which is not incentivized, but it makes for a lot for easier travel. And for later on with that airboat, having the canoe means you can dock right in front of, say, like Ordeals. And eventually, as we get further down in the tournament with River to Lefane turned on, we'll be able to dock right there and be able to access some of those areas a lot easier than having to walk or fly into that parking spot. Or even without the floater, being able to just dock right there. And we do see the ship coming out of Matoya, so that's a fantastic item to pull early on.
Yeah, so we have lots of mobility options. We have the ship, we have the canoe, able to basically make our way anywhere around the inner sea. Kind of just need a canal to get out. But for now, looking pretty good. Also, what's looking pretty good, thank you to the Earthbound Super Series rating over. Welcome into some Final Fantasy Randomizer action. Winter Tournament 2025 qualifier number 3. And we see some pirates on Solaris' side. Nothing a little bit of Nuke can't handle. And Bicky and pals are going to be down.
Yep, and it looks like we're grabbing the bottle from Bicky. Bicky and his pirates decided they wanted to just toss away an empty bottle of theirs, usually filled with hard cider. I do like some cider myself, especially this time of year when it's cold. Warms me right up. Warm apple cider.
Oh, come on. Wouldn't it be like yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum or something? I swear, a pirate's not going to be having cider.
Maybe, but this is a PG video game, I believe, so maybe not. Oh, and I see Fast coming out level 2 magic. Fast is
and Zap and Lit really 3.
And Exit on the white magic. So Danny rolled a very nice seed for them today, at least in terms of magic. We'll see how this progresses as we move along. Maybe we'll find some pretty nasty encounters.
So I have a bit of a weird question for you then.
What's that?
We have, at level 1 and level 2, we have Nuke as our black magic. Lit 3 if needed, Zap. We have Fast. For white magic, we have Cure 4, we have Life and Life 2, I believe.
Yep.
And Exit. How many other shops are our runners realistically going to check at this point? Is it just looking for Temper?
Personally, I'd probably just check Elfland. And I might be checking some other black shops for Temper eventually. But, yeah, with Nuke as a level 1 sweeper, we really don't need much else. We would be like to have some kind of sweeper on the white mage. Harm, we do have improved Harm as a flag that is turned on, which means that as a white mage, Harm affects every enemy, not just the undead. Ideally, we'd be looking for Fade, but any Harm spell would do. And that's just to give some more battle utility out of the white mage. And
looks like a circle of old men decided to give us a canoe, so Uh, we are basically just waiting for a floater, and we have access to everything as far as overworld mobility is concerned. So, canoe, canal, ship, bridge, we can go places with this group.
Yeah, we sure can. And it looks like our progression is going to lie somewhere deep down inside a volcano, which typically that's what I've been finding most of the time is that your progression is going to be locked inside a volcano to get to the other parts of the world. Um, Not always, but it more than likely is going to happen. And Volcano has a lot of chests, so it's a great place to go early. You're going to be able to find a lot of gear, money, experience boxes, potentially shards to help with your experience boost, because our experience boost is tied with shards. Um, Usually it's tied with like key items you see with a lot of things, but for this it's a shard hunt, so we're going to tie it with shards. The more shards you get, the higher experience you're going to end up having.
And with having access to nuke as well, it makes the encounters down here a lot less dangerous. I know that you did say for everybody that it is kind of zone based, so what you would find here in the vanilla experience, you would find again, in these boxes. But those could still mess you up if you're low level. However, finding like peds in a box, this is probably just like blow it up with nuke and not worry about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, like I said, ideally you'd like to have another sweeper with that white mage, but maybe we can pick up some kind of caster item, a light axe, a fire rod, the black shirt, something like that we can have that white mage give some utility out of us, out of just kind of standing there and smiling at everybody.
And this is quite the play from Siberian Bull. I believe you said that Marsh was not incentivized, but Siberian Bull opting to go down into Marsh. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's a lot of kind of nasty stuff both here and in Earth because of like the different touches and stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do have vanilla touches turned on for this tournament, which generally touch attacks are randomized in most standard play for Final Fantasy Randomizer, but for this tournament specifically, they left vanilla touch turned on, which means pretty much anything inside of Marsh Cave, inside of Earth Cave, it's gonna stun touch you. It's gonna do some nasty stuff. Ice Cave is also another place you don't want to go. We have Death Touch from, I believe we can find sorcerers in there. There's birds with stone touch. There's just a lot of nasty things you don't want to see out of Ice or Marsh Cave, which the planners of the committee of this tournament were kind enough to make sure that those were places we didn't have to go to find incentive items, but there's also the fact that there are still chests in those dungeons, which means there can still be shards in those chests. So if you're hunting for some shards, or even if you're just looking for some early gear, some early money, it's like not a bad place to go, but I think there might be better places to find those things at.
Yeah, we did end up picking up a white shirt +4 for Siberian Bull, and thieves can wear shirts. So, while we might denigrate the Marsh experience a little bit, a white shirt +4 is nothing to scoff at.
Oh no, absolutely not. I believe it gives death protection and maybe petrification. I think I don't recall exactly what the two are, but I know it gives some type of elemental resistances, and then also the white shirt can cast Invis too, which is great for evasion stacking. Finding that, Siberian Bull probably going to be the only one to find that throughout the seed. Now, there is a Ruse Stick and a Defense Sword out there somewhere. The Ruse Stick not incentivized, but the Defense Sword is. So we're most likely eventually going to run across the Defense Sword to give some Ruse stacking, to give some evasion on one of our characters, but we'll have to see how that pans out as we go. I'm seeing a gold ring being picked up along the way. Looks like most of our runners have that, so that must have been in Matoya's or something early I missed.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch it myself, but looks like it was Volcano Armory, according to Thavian Hawk. Thank you, Thavian.
Okay.
Again, the tracker is doing the Lord's work behind the scenes. We just get to talk about the game. They actually have to push buttons and pay attention while we wax poetic about what's going on. So, thank you again to the trackers, really making the randomizer and restream world go round. It looks like we have, two runners going through Volcano. We do see a crown get picked up on Solaris' side, courtesy of a monster in a box down there. Is going through and trying to get away from some of these ogres here. and find some chimeras. That's not exactly an ideal fight, but then hopefully the nuke gets him through this.
I
Well,
mean,
that's going to be
yeah.
hard now with a dead black
So
mage.
as you say that, the black mage just goes straight down. Um, I don't think I'd be trying to take a fight with 4 chimeras this early.
Yeah, this is a run and exit and live to fight another day. Or I mean, we have the life 2 charges, so we can just run and not worry about it. Or yeah, anything that involves not fighting those, I think right now is the good choice from Solaris there.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's not a bad tile to keep note of. Chimeras do give decent experience, and they're not the hardest things to take down with if you can get the nuke charge off. But it's more about being able to survive that damage from them. Mind you, there are probably far better spike tiles out there that we can come across for grinding if need be, but uh, more than likely we won't see too much of a grind. A lot of times you can get most of your experience from just grabbing shards and key items out of the boxes. So, be interesting to see if we happen to see any grinds going on.
Yeah, especially because to get your shards, you have to fight a number of different boxes. So there's always going to be something that's giving you XP while you're kind of going through and gathering your shards, since we need 24 of them. So, one of those situations where you're just going to be kind of benefited from that to begin with. And it does look like we are having some small technical difficulties with Solaris' feed, but should have him back up momentarily. And that momentarily is right now. So
So
thank you, Mechlin.
as you were discussing it, I was already working on it behind the scenes. Oh, I saw a
we
chime. Oh, a chime from Astos. So, something to note with the chime, we do have chime lock shuffle on, which means that I believe any entrance in the game, I'm gonna have to double check if that can include towns. No, there's an option to include towns, but any dungeon entrance, which could mean Sardos Cave, which can mean Mirage Tower itself, is going to be shuffled, and you're going to need the chime to access that. With the chime coming so early, that means we're not going to see a chime bonk, which is kind of sad because a chime bonk is always funny. It's something you don't expect. I myself ran into Sardos Cave the other day and was very confused about why I could not enter this cave, and then I remembered. And that was a long quest chain that I just hated following. So, but more often than not, it seems like the chime appears rather early in the progression, although, like I said, not always. So, with canal, ship, canoe in hand, we can leave the inner sea, and it's going to point us towards either. No, it's only going to point us towards ordeals if I'm reading this right. The only other location we have available.
Yeah, and Ordeals is, I mean, not functionally a Sphere Zero style check. You have to have something else to help you get there, but it's very near the top of the this is always available to do. You just hate to do it because it's Ordeals.
Right. And so sorcerers are abundant in ordeals too, and they have death touch, which means it's not going to be fun because some of those marked boxes can include a pack of 6 sorcerers, and then
Mhm.
it's just GG's from there. And it can happen whenever you're looking for that key item in there. I've had it myself a few times, so. But that's where our progression appears to be lying, so that's where we're
It
going to be
looks like
heading.
Well, you say that. Looks like Siberian Bull is going on the path less taken here, really enjoying Robert Frost's decisions to write poetry about not necessarily going the way everyone else is. Siberian Bull, opting to go to Ice Cave, has gone to Marsh and now Ice, the two non incentivized locations. So I wonder if this is an intentional play to try to find some things that the other runners just simply will not have access to. Hit some amount of pay dirt in Marsh, coming across that white shirt and whatnot. And I believe at least found one, maybe 2 shards in there. So curious if this is a play, going to just obscure places to try to get a leg up at the cost of maybe some potential time.
Yeah, it's possible. So we don't have ribbons incentivized, which means the 3 ribbons are just loose anywhere aside from normally we have at least 1 ribbon in a box, somewhere that we know that we're going to find, or on an NPC. And it's possible that all 3 of them just rolled inside of Marsh and Ice Cave, and if Siberian Bull happens to pull a ribbon or 2 out of here, or let's say the Moss Moon, which would be great early game potential for that thief, just slap that Moss Moon on there and the thief is going to do incredible damage. But that remains to be seen. Also, could be hunting out some spike tiles, as we see the Gas D tile down there in Ice Cave, which is probably by far the best experienced spike tile in the game for B-side tiles. 2 to 4 gas dragons, and they give tons of experience.
Yeah, and speaking of experience and things that are impressive and things that we found, Sorbius, I believe, second tried ordeals, and Solaris first tried ordeals here. I don't believe even having to use a single warp charge. So really well done by both of them, getting on up here. I know that Solaris found a pack of sorcerers and was able to get away. Sorbius, I don't believe has come across a set of sorcerers yet, but both of them able to make it through so far as they're trying to traverse this. Looks like we have not really found anything of value in this ordeals that I could see. I think other than the ruby.
Yeah, we picked up the ruby, which is going to give us access to both Titan's Trove and Sarda. So that's 2 potential progression items that we're looking at, and that's where our progression is going to lead to, is one of those 2 locations. So that's probably the best thing that we've seen come out of ordeals there, honestly, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no real gear to mention, nothing of note that was impressive, but the progression, of course, was the reason they were there to begin with. So it seems like this seed, at least so far, is fairly linear in a sense that we had the crown from Volcano, that ends up going to Astos, which gives us the ability to get to ordeals now pointing us towards Sarda. So not really much of an alternate path unless you're going out of your way like Siberian Bull is through this seed.
Yeah. I imagine we'll see, once our runners get into the air, some type of divergence. We'll have access to Sky Palace in a sense that we can get into Mirage, but we do need to find that cube to get up into the incentive locations in Sky Palace. We're looking for the Rod or the Oxiel as well to get into those dungeons, but yet more likely than not, it's going to end up being another fetch quest item, the TNT we see picked up from Sarda. And I don't believe Solaris has grabbed the Titan's item just yet, but usually grab the Sarda first and then head down and grab the Titan's item. I did see on Siberian side a Thor hammer, which I think was pulled from Ice Cave, which means that White Mage now has something to do.
The Thor hammer was actually Marsh as well.
Oh, was it? Okay. So
yeah, it was very late Marsh.
Yeah, for grabbing a few pieces of gear to help out. And I've seen the floater being pulled out of Titans, which is going to lead us to Waterfall and the Gaia bottle turn-in at the ferry.
Now, is there a shop item on in this?
Yes, there is also the shop item, which is...
Okay.
Yeah. Shop item, as long as main NPC items are turned on, the shop item is also always out there. It's also very elusive sometimes and ends up being in the last possible location you can get to.
So technically speaking, we have 3 directions to go at this point.
Yes.
Though unlikely it's a shop.
Well, as we see the defense sword being pulled from the dwarf, that's 1 down, which means bottle or robot.
Defense sword is very nice, though.
Oh, yes.
Certainly, that casts ruse. That's basically 2 stacks of invis, right?
Yeah, and it's not a bad damage dealer if you can't find anything else. Obviously, you're going to find that tail to promote to use it, but it's swingable. The blur sinks for every piece of gear in the qualifier flags, at least, is either +4 or +5, which means that pretty much any piece of gear you can use. Now, it's not going to be the best item to swing against Chaos or some of the later Fiends, but it's doable if you can find a Power Bonk to boost up your attack power, or if you can find Temper from from a shop somewhere as well. So yeah, Defense Sword is a good pickup for sure. Oh yeah, Cardia. I forget about the Cardia Isles.
Yeah, so it looks like Solaris going Cardia, and Sorbius, meanwhile, picked up Oxyel and Herb.
Oh, I didn't see where the herb was picked up from.
And Herb gives Adamant.
Oh, herb was from the Gaia shop. Okay. Well, that's helpful for Sorbius. Don't think they picked up the Defense Sword out of. Maybe they have. I'm trying to remember which one. The S names are starting to confuse me already.
I mean, there's only 4 of them. Come on now.
Right. Okay.
Oh, there's a rod. That's nice.
That'll lead us into Earth Cave. Now, like I said, I think the only thing you really worry about in Earth Cave is going to be the birds, the cockatrices that have the stun touch. They're not as prevalent as some of the other packs, but it depends on how the seed decides to roll enemy encounters.
Yeah, it looks like Solaris, meanwhile, picked up a cube from Cardia and is going to peek. Is headed to. I can never remember the name of this town. Is this Onrak?
Yeah, this is Onrak.
Onrak, but going Waterfall.
Looked like they were peeking the shop item just to see if it was there or not. So lots of divergence from our runners at this point. One going into Waterfall, one going into Earth Cave. Silvius seems to be on the right track, having picked up that rod and the Oxyal. But Solaris having that cube means they can get into Sky Palace as well. And Sky Palace does have a number of checks. I think there's over 50 chests in general, and 30 of them at least are in Sky Palace where you're looking for that item at. So lots of shards can be available, and it's got some of the highest level experience gains in the game as well, which means that all those chests that you're nuking down with that level 1 nuke is going to help push your experience up, push your levels up, make it so that it's less of a grind as necessary.
Yeah, and also, I mean, if he really wanted to, could go after Tiamat for an extra 4 shards, correct?
Correct. Now,
and we do see the slab there Solaris picks up as well, so potentially could be useful. Remains to be seen.
It's not always the first thing you want to turn in, but a lot of times it ends up having what you need on it. So, pointing out about Tiamat, something to note of the Fiends for these flags is that we do have vanilla boss scripts, which means what you faced in the vanilla game is what you're going to see here tonight. Now, their stats are randomized, and they do have 50% increased HP, so it's going to be a little bit tougher to take them down, but if you know the vanilla script, you know what's coming. Tia 1 has a chance to throw out, I don't remember if it's damage poison or if it's stone poison, but it's a 50-50 on attack and throwing out spells. And the other skills that Tiamat has is Thunder, Blizzard, Blaze, which are just not fun to go up against. So Tiamat, not going to be my first thing to go after unless we find something really good in Sky Palace when we're there and we've gained quite a few levels. I'd be much more keen on taking on Lich or Carry early on.
Yeah, certainly makes sense. It looks like we see Harm 4 and Fade both in the shop in Melmond. So a nice pickup there for Solaris that does give us a little bit of a sweep, a second sweep, albeit a little bit late. Still something for sure.
Yeah, it also happens to fall in one of the worst spell slots, menuing wise. It's four menus either up or down, so it's not ideal. But Fade is also the best thing that a white mage can do. Dollar store nuke, as most people call it. Especially against the fiends, it's gonna do most likely 100 damage at most against a fiend. But against a lot of mobs, it's gonna do a lot of damage, and especially combine that with that level 1 nuke, you're gonna be able to take out anything that the nuke didn't take out.
Yeah, it looks like we see Sorbius making some progress through Earth here. Haven't seen anything really of value show up yet. I don't think we've seen anything better than a defense sword for any of our runners yet to this point. For armor, I think the best thing we've seen is that white shirt, which was in Marsh. So we are a little bit on a gear struggle bus despite opening all of these boxes for our runners so far. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you've seen anything better than those.
I haven't so far, but I also haven't been able to pay attention to all four screens. I did see Sorbius pull out an X-Cal out of Earth,
Okay.
which feels bad because no one in the party is going to be able to use that. That's just shop item fodder. It's
Right.
something to grab some more houses or some spells with later on.
Yeah, I
And
should have specified something usable.
yeah, something usable. Yeah. We
The
found a
key
very strong weapon. Just can't do anything with it.
Temper is level 6, so Solaris does have that. That's not necessarily an ideal level, but hey, we have it. And the slab turned into the key, so that's very interesting. You kind of alluded early on to lock picking. Does picking up this key now do anything for us? Would you chase that at all? What's kind of your thoughts on that?
So key opens up Canaria Lock Chest, which is 6 chests back in Canary Castle, and it also opens up the Mermaid's Prison. That is a flag that was turned on for this. So going into Onrak, into the Sea Cavern, the Mermaid side usually is just open and there's a bunch of chests for free, but for these flags in particular, they've locked all the doors. So getting access to that incentive item, you're going to require to get that key. Lockpicking is turned on. It is set to level 22 though, which means you're not going to get some use out of it early unless you can find a really good grind early for that thief and just take one thief up to level 22. I don't see the plus in that. It's more so it's turned on for when you get down to the end game and you're last locating your key and your loot. You pick one or the other kind of thing. But as for now, yeah, keyword helps out, gets us to more locations, more access to easy chests, to other incentive items. We're probably going to be looking for that tail. Thief does not do well with any weapons until it makes it to the ninja to grab that katana, or the Vorpal if that's what you find. I won't shun Vorpal. It's gonna roll good. It's gonna be an okay sword for this. It's not gonna be my first choice, but it's gonna be a sword to use.
Yeah, it looks like Sorbius is taking a bit of a grind in what I believe is the Hall of Giants. Agama is coming in anywhere between a 2 and a 4 pack from what I've seen so far. That is giving him a nice level boost there. Not sure his exact shard count, but Agamas are going to be a pretty favorable grind here. They're not doing much, and they kind of just fall over to Nuke and that light axe and everything else that we have going. So this is a nice little spot for Sorbius that he found a couple tiles into the Hall of Giants.
Yeah, Agamas are probably going to be one of the top tier grind tiles to find. Agamas, there's also the iPack, which can come in 2 to 3 or 2 or 4, I don't remember which, but there's the iPack that can come up, which also gives a great amount of experience. And then there's a few other handful of grind tiles, but with the Agamas not throwing any skills or spells out, they're probably going to be the safest grind tile, and having easy access of them inside of the Hollow Giants is going to be the best bet. So Sorbius is definitely going to pull ahead level-wise and make it fighting the fiends to get their last bit of shards a lot easier.
Yeah, got to get levels at some point anyway, so might as well take advantage of this while you can. We did notice that it looks like Dark landed on Siberian Bull and made their carry experience a very unpleasant one. I believe Improved Dark is on, which makes that, kind of doubly annoying to get hit by that. So a bit of an unfortunate circumstance there for Siberian Bull, just not able to pull through that fight.
Yep, it's a quick run back down though. All the lava tiles in Volcano do not trigger encounters and do not progress the encounter step. So it's usually about a minute, minute and a half run down. And if you have a pretty good hero run, you're not going to run into any encounters along the way. As long as you remember to heal up before you talk to carry, it's not going to be too bad. But yeah, that Improved Dark is definitely a malice for this. It's not something you want to see. And we can see Dark on a few things. Notably, Kraken can cast Ink, which causes Dark. And that's pretty much game over at that point. Unless you have Cure 4, which we do. So having Cure 4 at level 1 is really helpful for all of our runners. That is not just a full heal, but it also clears out any status ailments. So Dark, Stun, Poison, Stone. I don't think Stone. I think that's the one ailment it does not cure. But I don't know for sure about that. That would have to be someone in chat confirming that for me.
Well, and someone in chat, being Thay Van Hawk, one of our wonderful trackers, letting us know there was a ribbon in Sky, a singular ribbon. Obviously the first one is the most important one, but one ribbon can go a long way. That can really help in those later fights, allowing for some better magic defense, allowing for the ability to just kind of ignore all those nasty statuses. Just a really nice pickup for Solaris there.
Yeah, you probably want to throw that on your white mage, especially considering it has life 2 and Cure 4 right off the bat. Like that's where the first ribbon has to go.
How about a second one?
And the second one goes on one of the thieves.
All right, well, so if you want ribbons, go to Sky. If you want progression, it's probably not Sky, but those ribbons are awful nice.
Ribbons are fantastic. Finding 2 of them in one dungeon is really good, and that really makes you feel really good about your decision making. Especially, we're about 30 minutes in the seed, so we're about halfway typically. If you find 2 ribbons, you feel like you just hit the jackpot.
And I suppose I have to ask, not being as familiar with the rando as you are, what level do we expect Sorbius to be looking to go to here? Like, what are the break points that he's trying to hit with a thief as his damage, or is it an HP threshold he's looking to hit? What's kind of our goal here now being, I see us at level 22 and we're warping out. Is that the level we're looking for?
So it looks like in their part, they were looking for that Thief lockpicking to be activated at level 22, which gives, like I said, access to Canary Castle locked, which is where they're heading right now. But damage-wise, if I remember right, a katana for the Thief will breakpoint is level 20 for 5 hits and 28 for 6 hits. That's for a +4 katana, which is probably what we're going to be trying to put on that Thief. That's probably a level you want to go to if you're looking for an additional hit, but getting to level 28 is not always something you want to go for. The experience starts tapering off, especially with a full party grind. But HP is something to note. We do need to have a decent HP pool going into the Lich fight. Lich has a 75% chance to just cast Nuke right away and just obliterate your party. That's Lich 2. Sorry.
And Lich 2, I mean, if you get nuked and lose like 2-3 people, you probably just reset and run back in, I would imagine.
It's the reset emulator, essentially, is what Lich 2 is you just gotta kind of get lucky for a few turns. If you're going in with low levels and without a knight or somebody with a high HP pool to to help defend against that, because nuke being non-elemental means that it's only your magic defense is the only thing that's gonna help protect against it, and you're gonna need some pretty high magic defense to lower the damage dealt to you.
Mm-hmm.
Ribbon doesn't really do much. It just helps give elemental resistances, but it doesn't work the same as magic defense does, if my understanding is correct. So I saw something pulled out of Canary Castle Locked, and I see Thavian has noted in chat, Katana +5. That is huge.
Mm-hmm. That's a weapon.
That is
and a good one.
That is a really good weapon. Yeah, I have the calculator pulled up. It is breakpoint of level 20 for 5 hits and level 28 for 6 hits. So throwing a fast on that with the level that they're at, they're more than likely going to be able to get 10 hits off. And with a katana having the increased crit chance on it built into it, you're going to see a lot of damage from that. Most likely. Which is going to be very helpful against chaos. Something I haven't seen a whole lot of is the what I affectionate the thief swords. I really enjoy the thief swords, the dragon sword, the rune sword, the coral sword, stuff that are equipable by thieves, and the thief is about the only thing that can equip with those aside from the moss moon and like daggers. We have elemental and typed damage cranked up to 42 per hit, so that's something that's probably going to play more effect later on in the tournament, when the stats start ramping up on the bosses. Every time that you get a hit off, you're going to get an additional 42 damage on top of whatever damage you're going to roll. So even if they're very tanky and they absorb all of your damage, they're still going to do a decent amount of damage. 10 hits with a rune sword is going to do 420 damage at minimum on Lich, on Carry, and on Tia 2. Now, it doesn't do anything for chaos, but it at least helps you get through those fights.
I mean, you got to get to chaos before you can wipe chaos out. So anything that helps you get there is a plus to the runners. And there's a Masa +4 hanging out in C, so that's a weapon as well. So we have Masa +4 and Katana +5. So those are two good finds. That might actually make it doable for Sorbius not to promote in this case.
Yep, and I just seen the power bonk being pulled out as well, which is another really helpful item. That casts Saber, which increases our chance to hit, but also increases our base damage power with the weapons. That's something we're going to see heavily used on Chaos, most likely, while we're either waiting out the storm of the skills or spells and waiting for that slow 2 to land, or that cure 4 to land, or just, buffing up in general. I did see on Solaris' side, they equipped the Coral Sword, which is going to be really helpful whenever they go take on Kraken here. I assume that they're going to be taking on the Kraken here, having equipped that. That's going to help deal a lot of damage and help get Kraken down a lot quicker. Kraken is 4 shards as well, so that's probably where they're heading next.
Yeah, it looks like opting to warp twice and going to be heading down the Kraken side of C here now. So definitely spot on that they are looking for those shards. We know Sorbius is in shard go mode. We know that Solaris, Softnum both need the loot. Siberian Bull has the loot. So, technically just, needs a whole lot else to get there, but is on the right track having the loot.
Yeah, I think I saw 12 shards on Sorbius' side. So Kraken and Tia is going to get you 8, and you just need to find 4 more. Probably going to see it as you're walking up to Tia in the Sky Palace. I think Solaris has 13 or 14 shards, maybe 15 shards. I didn't quite catch that. So they're looking for that loot, but they're going to eventually run into it as long as they remember that Canary Locked has an item in it. I'm going to catch Soft on this shard count just yet. That's one thing that's almost impossible to catch unless you're honing in on that screen at that exact moment. Runners are really quick with menu, and you typically aren't going to see a shard count.
Yeah, it looks like we have 13 on Siberian Bull's side. So all our runners are pretty close on shards at the moment. So I think really this is going to come down to who can kind of execute the air quote boss rush the best. Going through and getting through carry and Tiamat, uh, and wherever else they decide to go. If anyone decides to go back and go take out carry or go take out Lich. For Solaris and Siberian Bull, for example, are yet to take out Lich, where Softnum and Sorbius have already taken out Lich.
Right. Yeah, Lich is a nice. If you still need 2 shards and you're in go mode, otherwise, it's like I said, it's like a quick 60 to 90 second walk down to carry, and at that point, you're going to have the levels to take carry out really quickly, putting you in go mode right away. You're not going to be looking for chests at that point.
Yeah, those 2 shards out of Volcano come real fast with carry, and once you're level 20, 22, etc., just going to melt, which is nice. You just a quick run, get them, go, be done with it.
Yeah, and I did see there's a second katana being pulled out of the mermaid side if you walk into the incentive chest room, which is all the way to the left when the screen wraps around. But having 2 katanas and 2 thieves, you're going to deal some pretty nice damage later on. We just have
2 katanas.
Tail, which looks like Solaris is the only one to have found the tail so far.
It is in Sky, and I believe Solaris is the only one to have made that venture. So not only was the tail up there, but also 2 of those ribbons were up there. So there is a decided gear advantage on Solaris' side. Their end game is going to be, at least at the moment, significantly easier than everybody else's. That said, I would say Sorbius has the progression advantage over everybody. So it really depends, which of those 2 paths are going to come together best. That is not to say that Softnum and Siberian Bull have done anything wrong, just that Sorbius and Solaris have been faster in their respective routes. So do you see Solaris going through, taking that key to Corneria Castle, and they will be getting their next bit of progression. Or actually, they're going to be getting the loot here, right?
Yep, the loot and a katana.
Yeah.
So yeah, Solaris is going to be set up, like you said, for endgame. I'd imagine Sorbius, having picked up that cube out of Cardia, is going to be heading to Sky next. As we all know, Sky does provide, and in this case, it has provided very well for our runners. So
it looks like Solaris not going to be getting that katana, saying no to boxes that don't have X's on them. Oh. So not going to be picking that up. I mean, makes sense. They're just looking for, their progression at this point.
Yep. And, that's a choice to make. Opening chests, I was told, adds somewhere between a half a second to a second, so every chest that you open is going to slow you down. At some point when you feel like you don't need anything else, opening chests that don't have the X on it is just wasting time, essentially.
And realistically, our runners hope they only need 1 katana.
Yep.
They really hope they don't need the second one. So, in Solaris' case, already having a katana, what does another one make? We have a Masa, we have a katana. Yep. Does a Vorpal really matter at that point? Probably not. I mean, the crit is better, but like enough fast and temper. I mean, you put 1 fast on and put a bunch of tempers on, and who really cares at that point? Just, let the katana, let the Masa go burr.
Yeah, having the Moss Moon basically means, and the katana, they're set. They're ready to go with the weapons that they have. I'm trying to remember where the Moss was picked up at.
I want to say somewhere in C. I think that there was a katana, a Masa.
Yeah.
And Thavion confirming it was in C with the power bonk. That's what it was. Yeah, just a whole lot of goodies in C.
Yeah, going through C. Yeah, you're pretty much set at that point, and looks like Solaris is just climbing Sky right now to go take on Tia to get those shards out of Tia. We'll have to see if we see a friend walking through Sky 4. flag that we have turned on for this is patrolling war mech. So sometimes if you walk the right path, you're going to see a little robot walk around and you can potentially take on war mech for some grand experience. Although war mech is going to have 4 nuclears on deck, which means you probably don't want to do that fight unless you're really looking for experience.
I feel like if you had, a fighter or like a Blursing that gave more HP or vitality or something to characters, or they wouldn't just fall over to nuclears, that would be a lot better. But I feel like with this particular team, I would be very scared of nuclear.
Oh yeah, no, I would not be taking on the robot chicken at this point. The HP values are way too low. War mech hits hard and then throws out nuclears. Your party's going to be wiped instantly. It's not worth it. Now, like I said, if you had a fighter, then yeah, most likely, because that fighter is going to be the one that gets the experience, and it's going to give them a huge advantage for damage dealing. But we see Solaris is pulled into Tiamat. Won't be long before they have more shards. Looks like they're pretty close on their shard count from what I saw before. I didn't quite get the number, but we're honing in on that 24 required.
Yeah, some big damage there. 7 hits. I want to say there was like 7 hits for 600. I might have misread that, but either way, Tiamat down in a relative flash there.
I still didn't catch if that was 18 or 24 shards. They are heading towards... It looks like they are heading towards Topher, so... Probably make a pit stop to make sure we have enough heal pots. And then we're going to take that dive.
And Sorbius found an eye there. That's always a fun encounter when it's an eye and not a phantom. So yeah, looks like we are learning those spells since I believe Solaris promoted as well.
Yeah, I think so.
I must have missed it, but was able to get those spells on the now ninjas. So yeah, Solaris heading into Topher, and I believe this is mid Topher, correct?
Yes, this is mid Topher, best Topher. Still has an element of danger, but also it's not as long and grueling as long Topher as vanilla Topher is. The walk to Lich too is just, it's relatively quick. So if Lich throws out that nuke right away and your whole party goes down, or your white mage goes down, essentially, then it's a quick walk back in. And we see nuke coming out.
You mean that nuke?
That nuke that took out the white mage. But, as you said, they did promote, which means they do have life spells on those ninjas. So one of the flags that were turned on for this tournament is the White Ninja and the Dark Knight, which flips the spell permissions for the ninja and the knight. So the ninja can learn levels 1 through 4 on white magic. The knight can learn 1 through 4 on black magic, which really makes that ninja really powerful, having life 2 and cure 4 both accessible at level 1. Like, that's a godsend almost. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, that gives us like 10 extra charges of cure 4 or life, which is just obscene levels of defensive capabilities. Not in the same sense as like a ribbon, but defense as in, if you die, it's fine. We come back to life, we're good.
Yep, more than likely, someone is going to be able to be picked back up from somebody else. So, we're through Lich 2, we're through Carry 2, we're on to the Kraken floor. This is where things can get a little dicey. We'll have to see what Kraken decides to do.
I mean, Kraken can decide to go punch. Would you ever bother moving your primary damage dealing thief here to a different slot against Kraken, since it does have a penchant for punching?
Personally, no. I could see why someone wouldn't do that, though, especially having the dual thief. The one in the first slot, most likely if they take the hit, they're not going to go down, but even if they do, you have other martyrs to pick them back up. But Typically, I don't usually see party members being swapped around until the Chaos fight, and that's not just as an added defensive bonus against Chaos hitting, but the chance to get into a crit loop is more likely in slots 3 and slots 4 than it is in slot 1 and 2, plus less likely to be hit. So if your party does go down, more than likely than not, it's going to be one of your ninjas that are going to be standing, or your
Makes
primary
sense.
damage dealer.
That definitely makes sense. And Thavian Hawk letting us know all 3 ribbons in Sky.
Sky provides. That's where the tail was too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we see Sofnum actually just picking up that tail. So Sofnum, by the end of this, I don't see Floater marked, but Sofnum basically going to have full cleared item-wise on this. No items left behind, where I think the rest of our runners are going to have been able to fade something along the way. So Sofnum winning our hearts by deciding to do everything.
It's always it feels bad to have to full clear, but it happens. It's rando. Rando is going to rando.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the last item that they need to loot is typically what's you're more than likely going to last locate in these seeds. Loot does not block progression; it only blocks the end game.
Yeah, which is kind of wild that Siberian Bull had loot with like 3 key items. It was really cool to see quite the route divergence there. So we do see those Solaris getting into battle here and doing some big damage. That was 872 damage to Tiamat with that thief. And there's another 1280, and that Tiamat is no longer for this world. So Solaris going to have a chance to come in here with a time, in the mid-50s, which is very respectable for these flags. I think anything sub-hour on these from, what I've heard is a very strong time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm still looking for that sub-hour time myself. I'm getting ever closer, but it's still eluding me. It's always that loot. All right, so we're pulling.
So would you say it's eluding you?
Yeah, it is eluding me.
I had to get one in.
I do like that. Phoenix would be very proud. Phoenix, if you're out there. Okay, so we see the Ice 3 coming out from Chaos. So Lit 3 will be next.
Where on the loop for Chaos's abilities is Cure 4 in all this?
Cure 4 is the 4th spell that it can be cast. So it goes Ice 3, Lit 3, Slow 2, and then Cure 4. And then
Got it.
We go back to, I think it's Fire 3 and Ice 2. And then we have Fast and then Nuke.
So once we see that Cure 4 come out, that's when we kind of start going in big time.
Yeah. And I mean, if Chaos tends to punch or use skills more than not, and you've already buffed up, might as well just throw the swings out there and see what you can do. Which I saw a damage of 1200 something come out.
Yeah, and then it went back to like 3 hits for 130. So
there it is.
Oh, and there it is. Okay.
GG.
Well done, Solaris. GG. So is that an official time of 55:10?
I'm pulling it up. It is Solaris is at 54:53.
All right, 54:53. That's a time and a half, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and to note, Woo Bear did manage to pull off a first place win with 53 minutes of 45 seconds. We do have 10 runners not on screen. 12 runners? 12 runners not on screen. So, Woo Bear pulling in at just under a minute, which should allow Solaris to secure a bin 1 placement.
Well done to both Woobear and Solaris, and both getting bin 1. That is phenomenal. And no surprise to see the success of Solaris here. I know that he is a good friend of Woobear's and has done a lot of learning from Woobear. Also, a good friend of mine, going back to our free enterprise days. So I'm not at all surprised to see Solaris succeed, uh, at least in this race in the Final Fantasy randomizer, given his acumen for other randomizers, doing very well in some other games as well. So always cool to see the successes of friends out there.
Yeah, that's what I heard the other day. I did not know who Solaris was, but that was basically the intel that I was given before the other match that started up. Was that Solaris comes from other randomizers and does very well in them. So, and we are joined in the booth by Solaris. Solaris, GG's.
Whoa,
GG's.
thank you.
So how did
So
you? Fire, go ahead.
oh, I was going to ask basically the same thing. Kind of take us through your mindset in the run there, Solaire. So it was very well done.
Thanks. Um, uh, after practicing these seeds for a while, um, something that I like about this flag set is that it's really not, at least for the qualifiers, it's not very challenging. I mean, there are challenging moments, but from like a power level perspective, there's pretty, I think, like known points of just being able to kind of push through and push forward. And so my mindset has been like, okay, find power and then just hit the gas and like pray for the best. I'm not the most experienced at this randomizer, so they're going to be pretty niche things are going to get me at some point or another. But this one, I was able to just sort of move forward without too much problem. And I think that's really what led to my success.
So less stinky, more goey.
Yeah, without needing like I don't know. Let's say that the start was really anemic, the power was really difficult to find. I'd probably struggle a lot more with that kind of seed. But we had level 1, life 2, nuke, go.
Yeah, life 2, cure 4, nuke, and then on level 2 you had fast to top it all off.
Oh
You
yeah,
eventually did
yeah.
find temper on level 6, but you
Yep.
had the entire kit and caboodle spell-wise basically at your fingertips from the word go. You also didn't hesitate, and no one on our restream hesitated at all with it. You immediately snapped up the white mage and said, yep, we're going. Uh, what was the thought process there?
You just it is too dangerous to play a seed without a white mage or maybe a red mage. You're not guaranteed to find ribbons. Wall is a very important spell because the fiends have their vanilla scripts, and so instant kills and highly damaging AoEs are just a huge problem. Being able to cast Life in Battle, being able to cast Cure 4. I knew the plan seeing that starting party. I was like, okay, well, one of these thieves is probably dead weight. I have to take the Black Mage because it had Exit and Warp available immediately, and it's AoE sweepers, and the only other thing that fits is a White Mage. It would be nice to have maybe a Warrior and a White Mage, but you don't really have AoE sweepers. So I had to grab that party and open every single box I saw until I found a katana, a katana or a Masamune. That was pretty much the plan.
And then you found them both basically back to back.
Both, yeah. After I found them, I was like, okay, I really need to stop opening box. Just one more. Just one more. Okay, now I really have to stop.
That's how I do it every time. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
But there could be something good in the next box. But
yeah, the loot goblin feeling like, oh, what if I find that third ribbon? Or what if I find one of the white or black shirts in the seed so I can actually put the shirt on the thief who could wear it? Oh, alas.
yeah, so we saw the white shirt was actually pulled from Marsh Cave. Siberian, one of the only ones on the screen to take a dip into Marsh Cave early. I believe the black shirt was available somewhere, but I don't remember exactly where it was at. But you know, the white shirt, the only one that really mattered at that point. Um, you also, if you watch this back, walking into Canary Castle, grabbing the Xboxes and eluding all the other ones, you missed picking up the second katana. Yep.
I mean, that's great.
Yeah. All of the weapons
You
and all
know,
the gear were
if I had gone to Canary Castle area, which I kind of planned to, and then the routing that I chose didn't really put me back in the inner sea, I probably would have looted those boxes, gotten a katana, and then I could have stopped looting a long time ago. But you know, alas. I also chose to like go to Waterfall without. I don't know. There are a couple of routing choices. I'm not exactly sure what possessed me to do exactly the order of things that I did them, but I did them with conviction, and that's what counts, right?
yeah, that's all that matters. You go with your gut instincts, what feels right at the time, and
Yep.
hope it pays off. And in your case, it certainly did. So, I forgot I was just. Oh, I didn't quite see. How many ribbons did you pick up? 2, right?
2. I had 2 ribbons, yeah.
There was a third one in Sky.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep, I know, right? Sky.
So Sky and
provided-
Canary Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
funny.
yeah, it happens. But like you said,
Yeah,
you gotta
but-
know whenever you want to stop opening boxes and just go. So
It's an important skill to learn. My time in Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise really taught me that lesson, because it's very easy to loot Goblin in that game too.
yeah, and I mean in this case, it might have saved you the 2 seconds required to remain in bin 1, coming only 58 seconds in behind Woo Bear. So
Oh, I was so nervous when I saw him entering. I was like, can I shave any time at all? Do I really need to cast this life too?
right. Yeah, when that first finish comes in, it's always nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun though, either way. I enjoyed the seed. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, friendo, I think that's about it for what we have for you. Any final thoughts before we let you go enjoy what I am going to say will be a celebratory post-race party?
My celebratory post-race party will be face planting into a pillow and taking a nap or sleep, maybe. I don't know.
Speedrunning sleep
We'll see.
percent.
Yeah, I'm really bad at that. No, it's just it's fun to play with friends. Uber, Scar, Sorbios, all kind of pulled me into the game over a long period of time. I resisted quite strongly for a long while. So I'm glad I've chosen to play, regardless of what like results would have been. Of course, I'm happy with my result, but I really, it's just fun to play. It's fun to be in a comms booth with you. It's been a long time, even though I'm being interviewed, but you and I go way back. So
Oh,
it's
only,
just-
years and years at this point.
yeah, so it's just it's nice. But yeah, well, that's it for me. Thanks for putting on this restream. Thanks for the comms, the tracking. It's appreciated. I'll let y'all go then. Have a good one.
GG's.
GG's.
So Thavian has been kind enough to post the results in Twitch chat. So after Solaris finished, we had Pickles and Beer coming in at 55, 42, Shimbabi coming in at 57, 43, Rax coming at 57, 44, and then we have ADR coming in at 58, 13, and then Jesus the Frog coming at an hour and 44 seconds. During that time, we also had Scarcer and Sorbius DNF out, and I'm assuming that they probably had some difficulty towards the end there. Sometimes Chaos and Topher is just rude, and it's going to do some nasty things to you. So,
Yeah, not certain what happened with Scarcer, but with Sorbius on Restream, Chaos decided that it was going to be Chaos, and Sorbius decided he didn't want to rerun things, and that is totally valid.
yeah, I've done the same thing several times. Sometimes it's just not worth the headache to try it again, because, I mean, sometimes the results are going to be even worse, and at that point you're further behind. And if you'd rather just take the DNF, take the DNF. There's no shame in that at all.
Absolutely.
I forgot Sorbius was on stream. I'm not gonna lie. All the S's in this race. There's six or seven S's in the race in general. So it's a little.
Yeah, we have the 4 on screen. We have Skarsuer and Shumbabi off screen, and then maybe who knows 1 or 2 other beyond that. So yeah, the letter S is you go back to. What was it, the Muppets or whatnot, that, today's restream was brought to you by the letter S?
Yes.
There you go.
It was.
But we do have Sofnum fighting Kraken, and we have Siberian Bull going through C. So Siberian's going to be getting fairly close, actually, to their go mode. And Sofnum, I believe this is Kraken 2?
Yes.
That they are fighting, so they are a couple of fights away from Chaos to be able to get to the end of their seed. Not sure how much damage you're doing. I don't see. Oh no, there we go. Okay, 7 hits, 532. That's enough damage to get us through Kraken. So onwards we go to Tiamat, Tia 2 on Sofnum's side.
Yep. So Tia 2 has a 50% chance to throw out Bane as the first cast, which if you don't have ribbons is going to hurt a lot, but we've been able to find ribbons, so this should go pretty smooth. Tiamat 2 also has some nasty skills that can get thrown out at you, but it's that Bane we're going to see that can hurt a lot. Or just punch.
Well, I was going to say that Thief might have appreciated a Bane more than getting punched in the face for 500 damage. Oh, almost loses the Black Mage. That Thunder hit hard, but does stay up.
Yeah, Thunder is one skill that I'm not a fan of seeing. But we've got the Cure 4s. We can manage this. Tier 2 does not like that second Thief. Not a fan.
No.
I didn't see. Did we really get the fast off on the second Thief? Maybe that's why Tia 2 is targeting that one specifically.
Well, there's Bane, and we are now down to 0 Thieves of 2. But Life 2 coming out to try to rectify some things here. The nuke gets us through, though, so Tia 2 is down on Sofnum's side. Now, do we have Life 2? Oh, we have it on the Thief, but we have no spell charges. We're down to 2 Life 2s and or Cure 4s on the White Mage. So that is a little bit spooky on Sofnum's side, but hopefully enough to get us through to the end here.
Yeah, funny to note there, the Thief that came out of the battle down had the spell charges, whereas the Thief that was up did not have the spell charges. So it's usually how it goes.
And one thing we did see from our two of our other runners on stream, Solaris and Sorbius, was they did move their primary damage Thief down to slot 4 and put their Black Mage in slot 1 as a sacrificial lamb. We are not getting that out of Sofnum, so a little bit riskier here, down to just that 1 life or 2 Life 2s effectively. So hopefully Sofnum gets some good RNG here and doesn't lose that Thief up top. Would hate to see that happen given what's being invested into it right now.
Yeah, we got the wall out on the Thief up top, and we also got the fast out. Those are 2 very important things. I think they were throwing out some power bunks as well. I didn't quite see where the roost stick was at. That's something you definitely want to see them come out. So it looks like we're throwing fast on the second Thief as well as a backup damage dealer, which is not a bad idea, having 2 damage dealers in case Chaos decides to punch one of them out right away.
Yeah, this is going to be a testy fight, though, because we don't have any tempers on that second Thief. So going to be a little bit of damage, but not much. We use a Life 2 charge to bring the Black Mage back up. We're using, I believe, the 1 Life 2 charge remaining to bring the other Thief up. So the White Mage is effectively out. So this is really going to come down to how much this top thief can push here.
The slow 2 coming out, but targeting the second thief, which is the one that does not have the tempers and the sabers being dumped onto it. So that is really good to see. Softenum probably feels really good about seeing that slow 2 come out on the thief that's not doing the primary damage. But
Yeah, and Softenum through.
It out. GG's.
Yeah, very well done to Softenum, coming in at 111.42 and also popping into the booth with us. GG's to you, Softenum.
GG's.
GG's. How did you feel about that seed?
I feel like I took it a little bit too carefully.
Well, you made it through though, and you finished. So.
Yeah. I mean, finishing is good. This is the first in person that I've been able to run, so getting a time up on the board is good. But I probably would have been 10 minutes faster if I had just taken down Tia instead of going in and investing in Kraken after the tail. But
yeah, that's a hindsight situation, you know.
Yeah. It's I at the time it was like I had a coral sword and the falcon that I was still rocking on the second thief.
Yeah.
I warped out of Sky, and then I was like, well, maybe I'll come across the one. I did the math when I was in Sky, and I only needed 5, so I'm like, okay, so I can get Kraken after I promote. And hopefully I'll find the one shard that I need in C, which there was no shards in C. I mean, at least on the right side, or left side, rather.
There was a handful on the mermaid side.
Yep. I had picked those up.
Also... Oh, yeah. Yeah, you did go on the mermaid side because you had the power bonk.
Yeah, I got the power bonk and a couple of the shards there. And then I started to go left side, and then I decided to warp out and go find the tail and everything instead. So probably a little conservative, but
yeah, I mean, like I said, it makes sense. You know, trying to make sure that you get a finish in. So
yeah, for sure. So
Tia 2 did not like your second slot thief, by the way.
Oh man, Tia 2 did not. I think Tia 2 was harder than Chaos in this specific case. I didn't see, any of Chaos's nasty spells come out, and I managed to get Chaos down before the Cure 4 came out. That's what I was really worried about.
Yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say my first thief was putting out 800 to 900, and that's a good rate. That'll get you through. But I was worried about Cure 4 like the whole time.
Yeah. I saw the slow 2 come out and hit your second thief.
Yes.
Right there at the very end. So that I know that's a clinching moment for me, seeing that slow 2 come out. Where is it gonna land? And landing on the right spot just feels good.
Yeah, and not landing on that first thief was great. Who was actually doing all the damage and had the power bonk and everything. So
right. Yeah, because once you see that slow 2, you know that Cure 4 is on deck, and if Chaos decides to cast, it's another several rounds of damage dealing down at that point, and then you run the risk of running into nuclear and nuke as well. So the faster the better.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
So, Softenum, I'll kind of ask you the same question I asked Solaris, who also was in here in the booth with us. You and everyone else on Restream was like, hey, White Mage, right away, first town, we take. There was basically no hesitation from anybody on that decision. What was kind of your reasoning behind just snapping up that White Mage, calling it a day, saying, this is my party, we good, we go?
So, in these flags, I've done a lot of races or a lot of practice and talked to some of the people who are much better than me and finished ahead of me, and the White Mage seems to have a lot of utility, and with the improved harm on, it was kind of a no-brainer to take Black-White if I can, unless the red mage has some sort of blur that I really, really like, right? That's kind of the decision. I was hoping for a white mage on character select, basically. So
And so when you saw the spells at level 1 and level 2, how happy were you then with that decision?
yeah, I mean, I was pretty happy. I was a little freaked out though because I could tell like you see Nuke, you see Life 2, Life, and Cure 4, and then level 2 had, you know, I don't know. Oh, fast, yeah. And I'm like, okay. You get a little scared because it's going to be a fast seed, right? It is. It is going to go quick, and it did, right? You know, our finishers, our top finishers were, what was it, 54 minutes, 53 minutes, I think?
53, 54 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. So, very much was a quick seed to get through, and so I was a little bit, like, nervous, honestly.
Well, always good to get to chat with you, Sofnum. Don't
I know.
get to
been a
do it
little
too
while.
often anymore, but that's all I got for you. Any thoughts that you might have for us, before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening?
Yeah, no, thank you for Poss and Mecklin for doing the talking here. Thank you, Mecklin, for doing the restream. Thank you for Captain Bumblefarts and Thavian Hawk for tracking. GG's to all of my fellow competitors, and yeah, that'll be it from me. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, GG's again.
GG's again.
Okay, so Siberian Bull has pulled into Kraken 2. This is one of the gatekeepers, Kraken 2. Kraken 2 targets the wrong person. It's hard reset from there, but we're making it through. Not quite sure who the second party member is there. If I had to guess, it would be the Black Mage.
Yeah, I know that this is Siberian's second run through here. Got bullied a little bit by Tiamat and was not able to quite make it on to Chaos the first time around. So we'll see if some better fortunes arrive this time for Siberian. Still only getting 3 party members in here. Looks like...
Oh, that's the White Mage down. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say the White Mage down here. And Bane decides... good night to the majority of the party there. That is a reset. The Siberian going to give this another go here. Probably the right decision there than to even attempt a solo Black Mage there against Tiamat.
Yeah, not at that level. There's no way of taking down TO2 and then Chaos at these scalings with a Black Mage at level 20 something. I mean, I don't see it happening. You'd have to be very lucky to have the right misses come out, the right spells miss you, the right skills miss you, and then to have enough damage come out on the nukes or to get relatively decent hits from a Moss Moon. And
speaking of nuke,
Lich 2, doing Lich 2 things. And I think we are going to see a forfeit come out from Siberian Bull here, which makes sense at this point. You know, Topher's been Tophering it up here.
Yeah, sometimes Topher do Topher things, and that's why you can use Topher as a verb and a noun and an adjective, and any part of speech you want to turn it into, you can turn Topher into that. So we are joined by Siberian Bull. So GG's to you, Siberian, and hope you are still in a good state after that one, because Topher was not pleasant to you.
First, I want to say, bleh!
Yep.
Well, Yeah, unfortunately, and I'm reading in chat now. Apparently, all the ribbons were in sky, so that doesn't help. And I see I'm looking at the RPG restream right now and seeing that everyone had tails. I wasn't sure where the tails were, but I was at the point where like, all right, do I want to invest the time after C to check what I have the slab and I didn't check Cardia either. So there was two spots I didn't check. It's like, all right, we just gotta go, and hopefully Toph wasn't too bad. But Tia and Lich said no.
Yeah, and
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
that is gonna happen for sure. Lich 2 having that huge chance to lead off with nuke, and it's just a reset at that point almost every time. And then Tia 2 was not very nice to anybody this seed. It seemed Tia 2 was kind of a gatekeeper, and even if you make it past them to get to chaos, down to a black mage at that point. I saw the thought, I don't think I can do this. Let's just reset and try it again. And
Don't worry. The Bane got the one of the first attempt at that Tia. The Bane got them all again. Got them all, and then the Thunder decided to finish it off. Then the Bane again, and then it's like after the nuke from the Lich, you got no, that's enough.
Yeah, that makes sense. And these flags, without having an incentivized ribbon somewhere, having to find the ends of the earth where it could be, and then all of them ending up in a dungeon that you just decided not to step foot in. It feels bad, but that's how Rando is. Rando is gonna Rando sometimes.
Yeah,
I've gone through several of these where I haven't seen a single ribbon anywhere, and I'm just like, why? Where is these ribbons located at? I swear I've opened every chest.
yeah. I definitely had a practice seed where all my ribbons were up in sky again. So they were all in C, but behind I forget what it was, but it was deep behind something else.
Behind the mermaid lock, behind the mermaid prison. Kilo.
Maybe
Yeah.
no, it was going down. There's one up there, but there's down because there's two on the floor before seeing Kraken.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, they're probably not going to check those chests unless you're like, you really feel like you need a ribbon, and it just kind of feels bad because two of the chests are blocked behind a spike tile, and
Yep.
not always wanting to test the fates with that if you're not looking for a go mode
Well,
item. So
The other annoying part is the enemies saw my white mage, said no, this one gets to die. So majority of my run was just me powering through with by one thief that I let stay up was able to stay up, and my black mage. So the white mage was pretty under level 2 as far as the late stage. Because when one of my thieves went to take dirt, and I was like, you know what, you're not coming back up.
yeah, that makes sense. Probably everybody knew that White Mage was carrying around Life 2 and Cure 4 had easy accessible spots, so they were like, yeah, no, not today.
Yeah, as soon as I saw those two, I was like, all right, please let this tavern have a white mage, and it did. So I was like, all right, let's go. If it had a red, I would have thought maybe if it had a red mage, actually, well, because Nuke was in the shop 1 too. Yeah, I would also take in the red mage.
Yeah,
And early on in the Siege, Siberian, just wanted to kind of pick your brain for a minute here, because you did something different than the rest of the runners on Restream. You went to March and then later went to Ice, two non-incentivized locations. Was that a gear hunt decision? Was it a shard hunt? What was kind of your reasoning for that?
All the above: gear, shards, and levels. Because at that point, we were still, as if I remember, we're still looking for progression items, and trying to go in Volcano under level 10 just didn't seem like a good idea at that point to me.
Yeah,
and then
definitely makes sense. That's kind of what we speculated.
And then, unfortunately, because I was hoping to kill Carrie in the first dive in Volcano, I ended up dying on Carrie, and then having to do Volcano again. But just skipping Carrie the second time, so nope, not doing this. I'm already behind as it is.
That definitely makes sense. I didn't have too many questions for you. Mechlin covered the majority of it. I just wanted to make sure to get that one in there. because always curious when folks are taking different paths from the air quote meta, if you will.
Oh yeah, because I usually I do try to go in ice again for levels and gear, and there's more chests in there than there are in marsh, and maybe I'll pick up a few more shards in there as opposed to if I go to marsh, but it is what it is. I mean, I had I think the top row after checking those, but even then I was still far behind. I couldn't the death volcano really put me behind my everyone else, so that didn't really help. And I was really hoping to find the rat tail, but I just couldn't succeed. I see the others did, but I didn't.
Yeah, it was also in Sky. Everything was in Sky, unfortunately. And
I guess
you were the one person who didn't have the access.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have Cube.
It'd be like that sometimes, rando gonna rando.
I mean, I could have checked Slab, I could have checked Cardia, but I was like, there's no incentive for me to go to Cardia, and I would have to walk all the way around to Leafland to check the slab if it was there. So yeah, well, but yeah, thanks to you guys for doing the commentary. Everyone behind the scenes who put this tournament together and doing the restreams, man. Well, hopefully I can make up for it in the next upcoming qualifiers.
Yeah, so we do have quite a few qualifiers coming up. That is the third qualifier this week. There's also the async that's being run off stream and will get restreamed on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern for the top 4 runners that volunteer, I believe is how it's going to work. Still quite unsure about how that's working.
Not me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. And then we do have 2 more weeks of this with 3 qualifiers, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and then the async starting Sunday morning and ending Thursday night. So there's plenty of chances to pick up a better score, to submit some times. And then, I can't remember exactly what time. I think it's 3 p.m. on Sundays, 10 p.m. on Tuesdays, and then 7 p.m. on Thursdays. And then after that, we'll be starting the round of 64 to figure out what our final bracket is going to be going into the round of 32 when the real fun starts and we start adding in map edits and the scaling starts progressing. That is something that the crafters of this tournament were big on, was making it feel like progression in the tournament, not running the same flags per se, knowing where the incentives are, but with the scaling increasing and with routing decisions opening up as we go. So it'll be interesting to see how we go with that. Possum, did you have any final thoughts for today?
Just thank you as always to RPG Limit Break for letting not just this randomizer, but also other randomizers and events be hosted on their channel. Always amazing to be able to partner with the fine folks at our RPG Limit Break to be able to put on a great show. And of course, thank you to you, Eklund, not only for doing the restream, but also for being in the booth here with me. While I am not the most familiar with this particular randomizer, I love doing commentary and couldn't think of a better person to do it with. And of course, to Thavion, Hawk, as well as Catnip, for both doing a wonderful job tracking. And last but not least, our 4 racers, the Quad S's of Sofnum, Sorbius, Solaris, and Siberian Bull. Thank you to everybody involved. Y'all are amazing.
Yeah, thank you all for participating tonight, for allowing us to restream and everything. Thanks RPG Limit Break for letting us host, like Possum just said. It's always great to be able to come on here and show some people that may not have visuals of the Final Fantasy Randomizer community or other communities that may not get the light as they may desire, they may need to get some kind of I can't think of the word, visibility to come on, because some of these randomizers are really fun and it's not always easy to find them. So props to RPG Limit Break for putting this platform out there for communities like ours and others to compete. So one last thing, if anybody is new here, or if you've been along and you like what you see, head on over to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. We have links to the wiki that explain how to basically play the game. We have links to the Discord to come join the community, even if you don't want to race, if you just want to come hang out. We have a lot of fun stuff that the community does in general, places to chat and talk. Plus, you can keep up to date on when upcoming races are going to be. And then we also have our duckling program, which is something that's going to start up again after the end of the winter tournament ends in the early spring with the Duck Boot Camp and the Duck Derby to follow, which is our new player tournament, which helps teach new members of the randomizer to basically how to beat all the veterans of this community. I myself came out of the Duck Rally with clinching a third place to succeed in getting my duck avatar and becoming a platypus. So the duck program definitely does work, and if you want to put the time and effort into doing it, it's a great community. Come on out and join, have some fun if you enjoy playing RPG games and just enjoy having a good time in general. And with that, I think we're gonna sign off for the night. Have a good night, everybody.